The night sky above Aurelian Prime shimmered with floating lanterns that looked like stars trapped in glass. Thousands of aliens from across the galaxy had gathered for the Royal Unity celebration, a grand event marking peace between humans and the alien empire of Vashatari. Among the guests stood Ryan Carter, a young human engineer sent as Earth's technical delegate. His uniform was clean, his manners careful, and his nerves very real. He had spent weeks learning alien customs, trying not to offend anyone. But one simple mistake would change everything. The hall was made of silver stone and glowing blue crystals. Music echoed through the chamber, soft, slow, and full of mystery. Every being bowed as Princess Lyra, the Emperor's only daughter, walked onto the stage. Her skin was pale gold, her eyes bright like twin moons, and her long silver hair shimmered under the crystal lights. Ryan had never seen anything like her. Every step she took seemed to pull the air around her. The crowd went silent as she began her speech. "On this night," she said softly, "we honor the unity between our stars and the brave species of Earth who stand with us." Her voice trembled slightly. Ryan noticed her hands shaking. She tried to continue, but the translator chip in Ryan's ear glitched, turning her alien words into a jumble of nonsense. "And so we give thanks to the burning cows of friendship." Ryan blinked. Did she just say burning cows? He tried to hold it in, but a small laugh escaped him. Quiet, nervous, human. Unfortunately, the sound carried through the microphone field that surrounded the room. Every head turned. The music stopped. The translator fixed itself just in time for Ryan to realize the horror. She had said burning vows, not cows. But it was too late. The silence was heavier than metal. Princess Lyra froze mid-sentence. Her glowing eyes locked on Ryan. For a moment she looked hurt, not angry, not insulted, but deeply wounded. Then she looked away, her face turning pale. The Emperor rose from his throne. His armor gleamed black and gold, and the air seemed to thicken as he spoke. "Human," his voice rumbled like thunder. "You laugh at my daughter's sacred speech?" Ryan stepped forward, panicked. "No, Your Majesty, I didn't mean. There was a translation error, I didn't." The Emperor's guards surrounded him instantly. Long spears made of energy humming at his chest. The guests began whispering. The human mocked the princess. He disrespected the royal bloodline. By ancient law, he must answer for the insult. Ryan's heart pounded. He looked at Lyra, hoping she would speak for him. But she stayed silent, her expression unreadable. The Emperor's voice grew colder. "In our tradition, a man who shames a royal woman must restore her honor, by binding his life to hers." Ryan blinked, confused. "Wait, what do you mean by human?" the Emperor declared, his eyes glowing with fury. "You must marry my daughter, or face death at dawn." The entire hall gasped. The sound echoed like a storm. Ryan's breath caught in his throat. Marry death? This couldn't be real. He had only been here 2 weeks. He wasn't even supposed to stay on the planet more than a month. He came to fix communication towers, not get executed over a misunderstanding. "Your Majesty, please, this isn't necessary," Ryan said, trying to keep his voice calm. "I didn't insult her. I just laughed. It was my mistake." The Emperor's hand rose, silencing him. "A mistake of honor cannot be undone by words." He turned to the guards. "Prepare the binding chamber. At sunrise, the ceremony will begin." Lyra looked up sharply. "Father," she started, but the Emperor's glare silenced her. Ryan tried to protest again, but 2 guards grabbed him by the arms and pulled him toward the door. The crowd parted, whispering as he was dragged away. He could feel hundreds of eyes on him, full of judgment and pity. As the heavy doors closed behind him, he heard one servant whisper, "Better to die than to be bound to the cursed princess." The words froze him. Cursed princess? What did that mean? The guards threw him into a small chamber made of black crystal. The walls pulsed faintly with blue light, alive somehow, watching him. His wrists were scanned and sealed with a glowing mark. A robotic voice said, "Groom status confirmed." He slumped against the wall, breathing hard. His laugh, a single nervous laugh, had started all this. He tried to think logically. Maybe the Emperor was bluffing. Maybe Lyra would speak for him once she calmed down. But deep inside, Ryan felt something strange. A pulse in his chest that answered the glowing mark on his wrist. It hummed faintly as if reacting to something inside the palace. He touched it, and for a moment saw a flash. An image of the princess, standing alone on a balcony, her hand glowing with the same mark, Ryan whispered. "What the hell is going on here?" Outside the door, a guard's voice echoed. "Prepare yourself, human. At dawn you will either become the princess's husband, or her sacrifice." Ryan's eyes widened. Sacrifice? The lights flickered. Somewhere far above, thunder rolled across the alien sky. And in that moment, Ryan realized this was no misunderstanding anymore. This was a trap woven by power, tradition, and something much darker than laughter. The first light of Aurelian's twin suns spilled through the tall crystal windows. The sound of heavy boots echoed in the hallway outside Ryan's chamber. He hadn't slept all night. His mind raced between disbelief and fear. When the doors slid open, 2 alien guards entered, their armor humming with energy. Between them walked Lyra, the alien princess he had insulted, or so they thought. She was no longer dressed in royal gold. Instead, she wore a long silver cloak that shimmered softly. Her eyes, cold and distant the night before, now carried something else. Guilt. "Your ceremony will begin at the next bell," she said quietly. Her voice was calm, but her hands trembled slightly. "My father's command cannot be undone." Ryan stood, trying to sound brave. "Princess Lyra, I didn't mean to laugh at you. It was just my translator glitched." "I know," she said quickly. Then, lowering her voice, she added, "But it doesn't matter. To him, the law is the law. Once it's spoken, even I cannot change it." Ryan studied her face. Beneath her calm expression, he saw sadness and something else. Fear. "Can't you talk to him?" he asked. "You're his daughter." Her lips curved into a bitter smile. "You don't understand our ways. My father doesn't see me as his daughter. He sees me as a tool to control prophecy." Ryan frowned. "Prophecy?" Lyra looked toward the window, her eyes glowing faintly in the sunlight. "There is an ancient legend. It says a foreign soul would one day bind with royal blood and awaken a power that could destroy empires. He believes you are that soul." Ryan laughed softly in a tired, hopeless laugh. "So because I laughed, now I'm part of some alien prophecy?" Lyra didn't smile back. "It is not a joke, human. Many have died over less." Before he could answer, a loud chime echoed through the palace. The guards stepped forward. "Time for the binding," one of them announced. Lyra turned to him one last time. "Don't fight them," she whispered. "If you resist, they'll kill you before you reach the hall." As the guards led Ryan through the glittering corridors, he noticed alien symbols glowing on the walls, like veins of light. The palace was alive, humming softly, watching him. Every step felt heavier, as if the floor itself didn't want him to leave. They entered the Hall of Binding, a vast circular chamber filled with blue fire and golden pillars. Hundreds of alien nobles gathered, their faces hidden behind ornate masks. In the center stood a crystal altar and the emperor himself, tall, broad, and terrifying. "Human," the emperor said, his voice echoing across the chamber. "You will now restore the honor you destroyed." Ryan tried one last time. "Your Majesty, I didn't destroy anything." "I didn't insult your daughter." "Please, this is madness." The emperor's eyes flared. "Silence. The law is not madness. The law is our strength." He gestured to Lyra. She walked to the altar, her face pale but determined. A priest-like alien handed her a glowing band of energy. It shimmered between her hands like liquid light. Ryan felt panic rising. He couldn't escape. The guards blocked every path. The band pulsed faster as Lyra stepped closer to him. "Place your hand over hers," the emperor ordered. "The bond must be complete before the suns meet." Ryan hesitated. For a moment he thought of home, of Earth, of blue skies, of the ordinary life he'd lost in a single day. Then he looked at Lyra. She didn't look like his enemy. She looked like someone trapped in a cage she didn't build. "I'm sorry," he whispered to her. "So am I," she replied softly, and then she pressed her hand to his. A flash of white light filled the hall. The band of energy wrapped around their wrists like living fire. The crowd gasped as symbols appeared on both their skins, ancient marks that glowed in rhythm with their heartbeats. The priest shouted, "The binding is complete!" But something went wrong. The light didn't fade. It grew stronger, pulsing wildly, throwing sparks into the air. The floor trembled, the pillars cracked, and screams filled the hall. The emperor shouted orders, but the energy wouldn't stop. Lyra's hand slipped from Ryan's as she fell to her knees. "It's reacting to you," she cried. Ryan's chest burned. The mark on his wrist was glowing brighter, connected to something deep within him. He staggered back as the blue fire around the altar turned gold. Then in the chaos, Ryan heard a voice. Not from anyone around him, but from inside his own mind. The bond is made. The trial begins. The light exploded, throwing everyone backward. When the dust settled, Ryan was standing alone in the center of the hall. The altar had shattered. Lyra was gone. The Emperor stared at him in shock and rage. "What have you done, human?" the Emperor roared. Ryan looked down at his glowing hand, still trembling. I don't know. But deep inside, something ancient had awakened, and it was only the beginning. The explosion had left the palace hall in ruins. Shattered crystal and smoke filled the air, and the once glorious banners of the Vashtari Empire lay burning on the marble floor. Guards scrambled to their feet, shouting orders. The Emperor's voice thundered through the chaos, demanding to know what had happened, and at the center of it all stood Ryan, trembling, the strange golden mark still glowing on his wrist. The light from it pulsed with every heartbeat, steady and alive, reminding as if something inside him had awakened. Before anyone could move, the Emperor pointed his staff toward him. "Seize the human," he roared. "He has broken the sacred balance." Guards rushed forward, but a wave of energy burst out from Ryan's body, throwing them back like leaves in the wind. He gasped, staring at his hands. The power was coming from him, not the mark, from inside him. "Stop!" a voice cried out. Everyone turned. Princess Lyra stepped out of the smoke, her cloak torn, her silver hair scattered across her face. Her golden eyes glowed brighter than before. "No one touches him," she said firmly. "Daughter," the Emperor shouted, "you will not defend this creature." Lyra's voice shook, but she didn't look away. "He didn't cause this, father. The prophecy, it's happening. The binding mark. It reacted because he's not ordinary." The Emperor's expression darkened. "Enough lies. You've brought a curse upon us." He gestured toward his guards again, but Lyra moved quickly, placing herself between them and Ryan. "Please, father, let me take him. Let me find out what this bond truly means. If he stays here, the palace will fall apart." For a long moment, the Emperor said nothing. The silence stretched like a blade in the air. Finally, he waved his hand. "Take him," he said coldly. "But if he brings more chaos, you both die." Two guards escorted Lyra and Ryan down the ruined corridor. Ryan stumbled, still dizzy. "What's going on?" he whispered. "Why is this happening to me?" Lyra didn't answer until they entered a hidden door behind one of the great pillars. The passage was narrow, dimly lit by lines of blue crystal. She pressed her hand to a panel, and the wall slid shut behind them. Only then did she turn to him, her voice low. "You should never have come here, Ryan Carter," he frowned. "I didn't choose this mission. I was assigned. Then fate chose for you," she said softly. "And now, you are part of something that has waited centuries to awaken." She led him deeper underground, past glowing vines and strange floating stones that pulsed in rhythm with the marks on their wrists. Ryan couldn't stop staring. "What is this place?" "The heart of the palace," Lyra said, "where the old power sleeps. My ancestors sealed it long ago, but the bond awakened it." She turned to face him. "That power is called starfire. It only responds to those born with royal blood, or those linked by fate." Ryan shook his head. "I'm not linked to anyone. I'm human." Lyra stepped closer, her eyes searching his. "Then why does the mark respond to you? Why did the prophecy speak your name before you were born?" He froze. What?" She raised her hand, revealing her own glowing mark. The scroll spoke of a laughing star, a stranger from the void who would mock a royal's pride and, through that laughter, awaken the fire of worlds. Her voice softened. "You laughed at me, Ryan, and now the prophecy binds us both." Ryan stared at her, stunned. "So, my laugh really did cause all this?" "In our world, yes," she said. "But it's not your fault. The bond only needed a spark. You were that spark." He turned away, pacing. "This is insane. I'm an engineer, not a hero. I just want to go home." Lyra watched him quietly. "If you try to leave, the mark will kill you. It's alive, and it won't release you until the starfire chooses its bearer." He stopped. "And if it chooses wrong?" Lyra's face turned pale. "Then the empire burns." The sound of approaching boots echoed through the passage. Lyra's eyes widened. "They found us." She grabbed Ryan's hand. The moment their skin touched, the marks flared again, brighter than ever before. The walls around them shimmered, revealing an ancient door covered in golden runes. Ryan's voice trembled. "What is that?" "The Vault of Fire," Lyra said, "where the first emperor sealed the weapon that built our empire and destroyed half the galaxy." The pounding of guards grew louder. Lyra looked at him, desperate. "Ryan, the door only opens for two hearts bound by fate. If we don't open it now, they'll kill us both." He hesitated, but her eyes, glowing and afraid, left him no choice. Together, they pressed their hands against the ancient door. The runes exploded with light. And somewhere deep beneath the palace, a voice whispered in both their minds, "Welcome, bonded ones, the trial of fire awaits." When the golden runes flared, the ancient door opened with a sound like thunder cracking through stone. A wave of heat rolled out, thick and alive, like something breathing from the other side. Ryan stumbled back, shielding his face. "What is this place?" Lyra's expression was grim. "The Vault of Fire," she whispered. "The trial begins here. It decides who is worthy to control the starfire." Before Ryan could ask more, the door slammed shut behind them. The sound echoed endlessly. They were locked inside. The chamber was enormous. Walls of molten crystal, rivers of glowing magma, and floating platforms that shifted as if guided by invisible hands. Strange symbols drifted through the air like fireflies made of light. Ryan swallowed hard. "Okay, so we find the exit, we get out, right?" Lyra shook her head. "There is no exit until the trial is complete. And only one rule, survive." A deep rumble shook the floor. From the far end of the chamber, a massive figure began to rise. Made of flame and stone, its eyes burning like suns. It had the shape of a man, but it towered higher than any building Ryan had ever seen. It roared, and the heat doubled. Ryan stumbled back. "That thing, what is it?" "The guardian of the starfire," Lyra said. "It tests the soul of whoever enters." The guardian spoke, its voice echoing through their bones. "Two souls bound by fate, yet only one may wield the flame." Ryan blinked. "Wait, only one?" Before Lyra could answer, the creature struck. A beam of fire shot across the platform. Ryan dove aside just in time, the blast barely missing him. "Run!" Lyra shouted. They sprinted across the shifting bridges of stone as molten rivers bubbled below. The air was hot enough to burn their lungs. Ryan's boots smoked, but he kept moving. Every few seconds, the guardian swung its arm, sending waves of energy that shattered chunks of the platform into glowing dust. "This thing's unstoppable," Ryan shouted. "It's not meant to be stopped," Lyra yelled back. "It's meant to choose." They leapt onto another bridge that started to crumble the moment they landed. Ryan grabbed Lyra's hand as the floor gave way, pulling her to safety. Their wrists flared, the golden marks glowing brighter, stronger. The guardian paused. Its fiery eyes locked on them. "The bond strengthens," it murmured. "But can it endure the truth?" The floor beneath them rippled and changed. Suddenly they weren't in the molten chamber anymore. Ryan looked around, confused. They were standing in a human city, his city, destroyed and burning. He recognized the skyline of New Houston, twisted in fire. Screams echoed in the distance. What is this?" he whispered. Lyra looked just as lost. "It's not real. The guardian is testing your mind." Then a voice echoed from behind him. "Ryan!" He turned and saw his sister Lena running toward him. Her face was covered in soot, her eyes wide with fear. "You left us behind," she cried. "You promised you'd come home." Ryan's chest tightened. He reached out for her, but his hand passed through her like smoke. No, this isn't real," he said, his voice shaking. "You're not real." The illusion shifted again. Now it was Lyra standing before him, but her eyes were cold, cruel. "You think you're a hero, human? You're nothing but a mistake." You laughed, and now my world burns. Ryan stepped back, trembling. The visions blurred together. His sister screaming, Lyra accusing, the fire closing in. Then he heard another voice. Quiet, deep, from somewhere within him. "The bond is your truth. Protect it or be consumed." Ryan shut his eyes and grabbed Lyra's hand. "This isn't real," he whispered. "We hold on, together." Lyra hesitated, then gripped his hand back. Together, the illusions shattered like glass. They were back in the molten chamber. The guardian loomed over them again, but now its flames burned softer, golden instead of red. "You faced the fire of your fears," it said slowly, "and you did not let go." The ground trembled one last time. The Guardian's massive form began to fade, breaking apart into sparks of light. One final ember drifted toward Ryan's chest and sank into him. The mark on his wrist glowed like the sun. Lyra fell to her knees, exhausted. "You did it," she whispered. Ryan shook his head. "No, we did it." Then the chamber doors behind them opened, and a cold wind swept in. But when they stepped outside, it wasn't the palace waiting for them. It was a battlefield. Alien soldiers, banners of war, and the Emperor's fleet blotting out the sky. Lyra's face went pale. "He's declared war on us both." Ryan looked down at his glowing hand. The power still hummed inside him, alive and burning. He took a deep breath and said quietly, "Then it's time I learn what this starfire can really do." The sky above Aurelian Prime was burning. Black warships filled the horizon, their engines roaring like thunder. Blades of light streaked through the air as the Emperor's fleet surrounded the palace ruins. Ryan and Lyra stood on the edge of the molten valley, the heat from the vault still glowing behind them. The mark on Ryan's wrist pulsed with a golden rhythm, steady like a second heartbeat. Lyra's voice was trembling. "He didn't wait. My father has declared us enemies." Ryan clenched his fists. "We risked our lives down there, and for what? To be hunted?" "He thinks you're dangerous now," Lyra said quietly. "He saw the starfire choose you." Ryan looked down at his hand where faint flames danced between his fingers. It didn't hurt. It felt alive, like touching the edge of the sun and feeling warmth instead of pain. "I don't even know how to control this," he muttered. "I don't know what I am anymore." Lyra placed a hand on his arm. "You are the one who survived the trial. The starfire obeyed you. That means something." Her eyes softened, but fear hid behind them. "But if my father captures us, he'll tear the power out of you. He'll use it to rule the galaxy." Ryan met her gaze. "Then we run." Before they could move, a voice echoed through the air, cold, powerful, commanding. "Princess Lyra of the Vashitari, return the human to me and your life will be spared." The Emperor's voice, amplified across the valley through the fleet's speakers. Lyra froze. "He's tracking us." Ryan looked up. Dozens of drones hovered above, scanning the ground. "No time to hide." "Then we fight," Lyra whispered. The first energy blast struck near their feet, sending dust and fire into the air. Ryan raised his arm instinctively, and a golden barrier exploded outward, blocking the next 3 blasts. The shockwave rippled through the valley, scattering drones like dry leaves. Ryan stared at his hand in disbelief. I didn't even think. It just happened." Lyra smiled faintly. "That's the starfire. It protects what you care about." He turned toward her. "Then I hope it cares about staying alive." The next assault came from the sky. Dozens of armored soldiers dropped down, their weapons glowing blue. They surrounded Ryan and Lyra in seconds. One of them shouted, "By the Emperor's decree, surrender the weapon." Ryan stood still, his heartbeat sinking with the mark's glow. The soldiers fired. Bolts of plasma streaked through the air, and Ryan moved. He didn't understand how, but the energy around him reacted like instinct. Every blast bent away, swirling into golden spirals before vanishing into thin air. The ground trembled beneath his feet. The soldiers hesitated. Impossible. Ryan looked up, eyes glowing faintly. "You want the weapon? Come and take it." He thrust his hand forward and a wave of golden fire burst outward, engulfing the battlefield. The energy didn't burn, it unmade. Metal melted like wax, ships faltered in the air, and the soldiers fell to their knees, blinded by the light. Lyra shielded her face, shouting through the storm. "Ryan, stop! You'll destroy everything." But the power kept growing, feeding on his heartbeat, his fear, his anger. The air screamed. Then Lyra ran to him and pressed her hands against his chest. "Look at me!" she cried. "Don't fight it. Control it." Her voice cut through the chaos like a blade. Ryan's breath came hard. Slowly, he forced his eyes open, meeting hers. The golden fire dimmed. The storm calmed. For a long moment, silence filled the valley. When the smoke cleared, the battlefield was gone. Only ash and molten glass remained where soldiers had stood. Ryan fell to his knees, gasping. His hand still glowed faintly, flickering like a dying star. I didn't mean to." Lyra knelt beside him. "You didn't destroy them. You freed yourself. The starfire knows your will now." She helped him stand. "You can control it, Ryan, but the Emperor won't stop until he has it." Ryan looked toward the horizon where the Emperor's massive flagship hovered like a dark moon. "Then we end this," he said quietly. "No more running." Lyra's eyes widened. "You mean to face him?" Ryan nodded. "He wants the starfire? Let him see what it really is." Lyra hesitated, then took his hand. Their golden marks glowed in perfect harmony, bright and alive. As they walked toward the coming storm, the twin sons of Aurelian broke through the clouds, and for the first time, Ryan felt the fire inside him not as a curse, but as destiny. The night fell heavy over Aurelian Prime. The warships that had once filled the skies now circled like vultures waiting. The ground trembled with the hum of their engines. Ryan and Lyra had spent the last few hours moving through the ruined outskirts of the capital. The once golden city now glowed red with fire. Columns of smoke rose toward the twin moons. The air was thick with ash and fear. Ryan's steps were slow, his body still aching from the power that had torn through him earlier. The starfire burned beneath his skin, restless like it was alive and waiting. Lyra walked beside him silent, her cloak torn and face streaked with dust. Her golden eyes no longer shone with pride, only guilt. Finally, Ryan broke the silence. "You haven't said anything since the fight." Lyra looked down. "Because I don't know what to say. You wielded the starfire like no one ever has. My people will see you as a god. Or a monster." "I don't want either," Ryan said quietly. "I just want this to end." They stopped near the shattered remains of a temple. The walls were cracked, but the golden symbol of the old empire still hung there, gleaming faintly. Lyra touched it with trembling fingers. "My father once prayed here before every battle. He believed the gods had chosen him to lead the galaxy. Maybe he still does." Ryan watched her carefully. "You still love him, don't you?" She hesitated. "He's my father. I can't stop loving him, even after everything." She turned to face Ryan. "But I can't let him destroy you." Before Ryan could answer, a familiar voice echoed through the shadows. "You don't have to, my daughter." They froze. From the darkness stepped Emperor Kael'thar, surrounded by his royal guards. His black and gold armor gleamed under the pale moonlight. His eyes glowed with cruel calm. "Father," Lyra whispered. "How did you—" He smiled faintly. "Did you think I wouldn't track my own blood? The starfire leaves a trail even a blind man could follow." Ryan stepped forward. "If you came here for me, then stop hiding behind soldiers." The Emperor's laughter was deep and cold. "Brave words for a creature who doesn't understand the power he carries. That fire inside you doesn't belong to humans. It belongs to me," he raised his staff. Energy crackled around it like lightning. "Kneel, human. I will take back what you've stolen." Ryan clenched his fists as the golden mark on his wrist flared. "It doesn't belong to anyone. Not anymore." Before the Emperor could strike, Lyra moved between them. "Stop, please." "He's not your enemy." Her father's expression darkened. "You dare defend him? You betray your blood for a human?" Lyra's voice broke. "You're the one who betrayed everything. You turned prophecy into a weapon. You turned me into one." The Emperor's face twisted with fury. "Then you'll burn with him." He thrust his staff forward. A beam of crimson energy shot through the air, but Lyra pushed Ryan aside. The blast struck her square in the chest. Ryan shouted her name as she fell. The world went silent. He caught her before she hit the ground. The glow from her skin was fading, her breathing shallow. No, stay with me," he whispered. Lyra smiled weakly. "You have to finish it. Don't let him take the fire." Then her eyes fluttered shut. Ryan felt something inside him snap. The starfire ignited. Flames of gold erupted from his body, swirling into the sky. The soldiers stumbled back in terror. The Emperor shielded his face from the blinding light. Ryan rose slowly, his eyes burning like suns. "You took her from me," he said, his voice shaking with power. "Now you'll see what you've created." He raised his hand and the ground exploded in a burst of light. The Emperor's soldiers disintegrated like dust. The temple cracked apart, glowing veins of energy running through the stone. The Emperor shouted over the roar. "You think this power makes you a god? You're nothing but fuel for my throne." He struck again, but Ryan caught the blast mid-air and crushed it in his palm. "No," Ryan said coldly. "I'm the fire you tried to control." He launched forward, golden light tearing through the air. The Emperor's armor shattered as the starfire surged between them, engulfing both in a storm of energy. For a moment, the sky itself seemed to split. When the light faded, the Emperor was gone. Only ashes remained where he stood. Ryan dropped to his knees, exhausted. The glow around him dimmed. He looked down at Lyra's still form, and for the first time the fire inside him felt heavy with sorrow. He touched her cheek. "You saved me when you didn't have to," he whispered. "Now I'll make it mean something." As dawn broke across the horizon, Ryan stood. The flames within him flickered softly, not wild but steady. The Empire had lost its tyrant. But Ryan Carter, the human who had once laughed at a princess, had become something more than a man, a symbol of hope, and the beginning of a legend. The sun rose slowly over the shattered world of Aurelian Prime, painting the horizon in gold and ash. The great capital city lay in ruins, once towers of crystal and light, now broken bones of an empire that had burned itself from within. Amid the silence stood Ryan Carter, the last human on the planet, and perhaps the most powerful being left alive. The air shimmered faintly around him, the starfire still alive beneath his skin, pulsing with quiet energy. At his feet lay Lyra, motionless, her pale golden skin glowing faintly in the new morning light. Ryan knelt beside her. He hadn't slept. He hadn't moved. He just stayed there, watching her chest rise weakly, barely breathing but still alive. The starfire inside him could feel her heartbeat, faint and fragile, like a candle struggling in the wind. He whispered, "You didn't deserve this. You tried to save everyone." Her eyes fluttered open, dim but alive. "You stopped him?" Ryan nodded. "Your father's gone." She gave a weak smile. "Then it's over." He shook his head. "No, not yet. The starfire isn't fading. It's still inside me, and it wants to burn more." Lyra's eyes widened slightly. "Then you must choose what to do with it. The starfire is creation and destruction. If you let it rule you, it will remake this world, or erase it." Ryan looked at the sky. The Emperor's fleet still hovered above, silent and broken, their pilots waiting, leaderless. Thousands of alien lives, soldiers, citizens, watched from afar, wondering what would come next. He could feel their fear, their anger, their hope. The starfire whispered in his mind, soft, endless, tempting. One thought and they will all kneel. End it and rule. For a moment Ryan almost believed it. After everything they'd done, the humiliation, the hunt, Lyra's suffering, didn't they deserve justice? Then he looked at Lyra again. She was watching him quietly, her golden eyes reflecting the morning light. "You could destroy them all," she said softly, "but then you'd become what my father was." "The fire doesn't need another tyrant, Ryan. It needs someone who knows mercy." He smiled faintly. "Mercy, that's not really my thing." She managed a tiny laugh. "It became your thing the moment you saved me." Ryan stood slowly, looking toward the city ruins. "What if I let it go? What if I give the starfire back to the world?" Lyra tried to sit up. "Then you'll lose it. Maybe even your life." Ryan turned to her, eyes calm. "Then it's a fair trade." He raised his glowing hands toward the rising sun. The golden fire burst outward, climbing high into the sky. It spread across the clouds, filling them with light so bright it turned night into day. The starfire roared through him, not angry now, but warm, alive, endless. It carried memories, voices, hearts of all those who came before. Lyra watched as the golden light wrapped around the city, healing what it touched. Broken towers reformed. The scorched earth turned green again. The air itself shimmered with peace. Ryan closed his eyes as the energy began to fade. The starfire was leaving him, returning to where it belonged. He felt lighter, weaker, but free. Lyra reached out, grabbing his hand. "Don't you dare leave me now," he smiled, his voice faint. "You'll be fine now, Princess. The world needs you more than me." Her grip tightened. "You are this world now." The last spark of starfire flared from his chest, rising like a golden comet into the sky. The light spread across the planet, marking the dawn of a new age. When it was gone, Ryan collapsed beside her, motionless, peaceful, a faint smile still on his face. Lyra pressed her forehead to his. Tears fell silently as she whispered, "You were the laughter that bound two worlds." Above them, the twin suns rose together for the first time in centuries. In the months that followed, legends spread through the galaxy of a human who laughed at a princess and changed the fate of two civilizations. They said his fire never truly died. It lived on in the stars, protecting Aurelian whenever darkness tried to return. And every year, when the suns crossed paths, a single golden flame appeared in the sky, a reminder that sometimes, the smallest act, even a laugh, can light the universe.